work out by using this budgeting. As you may be knowing, budget is quantification of a future plan. By quantifying the future plan, we are always trying to attain that targeted level of the activity. So in order to control your activities, we are trying to attain or to achieve the targeted results. If you are not able to reach the targeted results or your future plans, what are the various reasons for it? Having examined the reasons, we are trying to make them corrected. So that is how we are trying to control the various deviations, if any, or the lapses or the limitations. Having planned the things, we are trying to achieve the things. That is how the management is very much keenly observing by knowing what is to be achieved, by planning what is to be achieved, and by knowing what was achieved. So for that, this programming and budgeting, these are the two techniques which helps you in order to reach your destination. Next to that programming and budgeting, we also discussed about the variance analysis. Variance analysis is also a technique which helps you in order to reach your destination. So this variance analysis, what is our target and what is achieved? Why there is a difference? What type of the difference is it? Is it a positive difference or the negative difference? So that the difference we are going to call it as variation. And in the name of variance analysis, we are going to analyze not connecting what is the standard amount we have to achieve and how much we have achieved. Say, for example, if the standard quantity of the work to be achieved is 100 units in a day of 8 hours. Having designed that standard, having set that standard, now we have to start your activity. Having started the activity, you may have the achievement or the result. Suppose if the designed one is 100 and the actual one is only 94. That means we failed to reach our designed activity. There is a short of 4 units. This is a negative variance. This is your negative performance. That is your underperformance. Likewise, if you are able to achieve more than the designed or the standard, that is more than 100, that is well performed. That is positive. Hence, this variance analysis, by way of identifying the variation, you will be in a position to say whether your performance is underperformance or well performance. If it is well performance, okay, no issue at all. If it is underperformance, we should try to identify why it is underperformed. What are the various reasons for it? Having diagnosed the reasons, we should try to make it corrected. So that is how the variance analysis, analyzing the various reasons for the under or the over performance of the actual activity with the top, the standard one, we can also control the various activities of the business organization. Hence, this variance analysis is also one of the techniques of the management control. So having analyzed the reasons, you have to submit the information to the concerned authorities in the name of reporting, management reporting. unless we report the information, the management is not in a position to take the process of make the corrections. So this is some sort of a feedback about what was happened. This reporting, as I have already discussed very lengthy in the last session, reports are of different types. It all depends upon the nature of the information we are going to submit to the management. There are different types of the reports. There may be operation reports, or statutory reports, or financial reports. So likewise, the reports are of different types. It all depends upon the nature of the issue we are bringing to the notice of the authorities. Having reported, the management is going to take the corrective action. It will take its process of making the things to be rectified. That is another unit which we discussed in the last class in the name of variance analysis and reporting. Besides these two, the third one is, that is unit 10, performance evaluation. You have to evaluate. For the evaluation of the performance, you will have different parameters. Suppose if it is a financial evaluation, like what is the amount of the return we earned this year on our investment, that is in the name of return on investment, or return on capital employed, or residual earnings, or return on equity, or per employee productivity, or per employee earnings. So likewise, you have different categories of the parameters through which we are able to evaluate the performance. Having evaluated the performance, I think we will take the necessary steps if the performance evaluation is as per our expected. So we are lucky for achieving these things. If the performance is not up to your expectation, then you have to diagnose reasons, and then you have to make the plans how we will make it more effective in course of time. So for that, we have discussed about this performance evaluation is also one of the area of management control. And now we are going to discuss about the last unit of block 4, that is unit 11, that is management audit. Management audit. So having discussed this management audit unit, I think we will be in a position to know what the concept of the management audit, what is the process of this management audit, and how we will conduct the management audit in an organization. What are the various tools and techniques of this auditing? As and when we come across the word auditing, it is an examination of the various transactions conducted in the organization, whether these transactions are as per the rule or not. And based on the evidence, we are going to verify, we are going to examine the recording of the various transactions in our books of account. So that is in the name of accounting. Excuse me, 1 minute. చెప్పమ్మా, నువ్వు జస్ట్ అట్ నువ్వు మన ఆర్టీఓ ఆఫీస్కి వచ్చినాక రింగ్ ఇవ్వమ్మా. So here, in the name of auditing, we are verifying the recorded information. More particularly, this auditing is pertaining to, in general, regarding our accounting activity. How our accountant recorded the transactions in our books of accounts, whether recorded information is as per the laid down procedure or not. Either that recorded information is a pakka information or not. is it a true information or not? Or are there any misrepresentation of the things, or malpractices are going to be recorded, and for which we are going to conduct some sort of a verification. That is what is audit. But here, that is in general. But in case of the management audit, this management audit is not only the financial aspects, but it covers, other than the financial audit, internal audit, social audit, cost audit, energy audit, which includes all these aspects. That means we are verifying each and every managerial aspects, financial aspects, organizational aspects, the various operational aspects. We are verifying in the name of management audit. All the managerial aspects we are going to verify. That means what is the activity, how far the activity was conducted, is there any deviation from the procedure or the laid down policy or not? That is what we are going to verify in the name of management audit. That means it is totally verifying the managerial aspects of the organization, managerial activities of the organization. Each activity has a specific objective, and somebody is responsible for it. Whether that activity is achieving that specific objective meant for that activity, or who is responsible for it, is the function of an audit. That means it is the total examination of the transactions of an organization, which includes the effectiveness of managers, compliance with the company or professional standards, the reliability of the management data, the quality of the performance of the duties and responsibilities of the various people who are working in the organization. So this is how we are verifying in the name of management audit. That means it is not only concerned to the administration, but also the various managerial aspects, the managerial activities. Because we are trying to attain the most effective and efficient way of discharging the activities in the organization. Whether those things are going to be attained for the set objectives or not. And is everybody is taking the responsibility for achievement of these things or not? So those are the things which we are verifying in the name of management. Financial audit, generally audit means financial audit, which confines to the various financial aspects of the organization. But whereas management audit is not only the financial, but various other aspects of the organization is also included here. What is your responsibility? How your responsibility is going to be discharging? What are our policies? What are our objectives? How far we are able to achieve those objectives? So this is how the management audit is more of a broader rather than a financial audit. Generally, the management audit deals with what are the objectives of the organization, what are the policies and the procedures of the organization in order to achieve your set objectives, and what is the performance of the organization, how far the organization is, the people in the organization have been following the policies and the procedures of the organization for achievement of the objectives. That is what the management audit is dealing. It is some sort of a unique process. It is some sort of a unique process to appraise the performance of all the people who are working in the organization, right from the directors, managers, or any executive who is trying to attain the objectives of the organization, whose performance we are going to evaluate, we are going to assess, we are going to verify in the name of management audit. That is what the management audit is. And this management audit was developed by Mr. T.G. Rose as a logical system for evaluating the quality of the management. In one word, we can say we are evaluating the quality of the management in order to run the organization. There are several aspects are included in the quality of the management. Those aspects we are going to cover here. And generally, the appraisal of the management performance is appraised in various areas, which covers the managerial operations like planning, how it is organizing, how the staff is functioning, how the activities in the organization are coordinating, what is the communication, how the things are going to be directed, how the people in the organization are going to be motivating, controlling, communicating, and what about all these things, how the things are going to be innovative practices. So there are all the various aspects of which we are going to evaluate the performance of the organization in the name of management audit. So in brief, the objects of management is appraising the management performance. Whether the actual activities are in conformity with the organizational objectives, what we have set. Ascertaining the objectives, whether they are properly understood at all levels or not. So in order to achieve these things, first of all, we must understand the objectives. And what are the various levels of the management? Do we have the coordination among the different levels? Is that communication from one level to another level is effectively working or not? How we are going to try to meet the objectives of the organization? And what is the structure of the organization? Structure in the sense, how we assign the duties and identify the responsibilities for delegating of the authority is adequate or not. So for which we are evaluating the performance of the various executives of the organization. And all these activities are mainly meant for in order to utilize the resources optimally and also for efficient working of the organization. And if there are any weak links in the structure of the organization, we can also suggest the necessary improvements for the healthy functioning of the organization. And if you are a thorough understanding of all these things, we can also anticipate the future problems and try to prevent those problems also. So those are the various purposes for which we are conducting this management audit. And this management audit is having several functional activities. And here, the functional activities in the sense of managerial activities like marketing, finance, manufacturing, personnel, R&D. These are all the various divisions what we use to find in any organization and wherein we are conducting this management audit. So having known the nature of the subject of this management audit, now we will see what are the different types of the management audit. Management audit is more of a broader, which includes financial audit. You may be knowing financial audit is an audit which we are going to evaluate the role of the accountant who is going to prepare this or to record the various financial transactions, whether he prepared the transactions in a more, with evidence or not, evidential information. Are there any receipts or the vouchers for every entry of the transaction? Is it this preparation of the financial statements are going to meet the objectives for which these statements are going to be prepared? Generally, the finance statements are going to prepare for the purpose of providing the information for the various stakeholders of the business. Are these statements through which we are going to supply this information is rightly providing or not? Then we can also conduct the cost audit. That is, cost audit is the information relating to the cost data in the name of various reports, cost of production, cost of preparation of the the manufacturing activity, the cost of sales. Such type of the data we are going to verify whether the data is prepared or not. So for the purpose of making more effective way of presenting the statements, so instead of waiting in the last day where the people are going to verify or to examine and going to give their comments, and if those comments are negative comments, by the time we already spent a lot of the resources on it, and we may have a bad remark or some sort of a negative report by the various people who are verifying these things. So instead of having such type of the comment, I think we will go for a continuous verification of the things in the name of internal audit. Internal audit is an audit which we are going to arrange in our organization with experienced and the senior people who are well versed with this accounting activity, to whom we are going to identify as internal auditors. So continuously they used to verify the various statements prepared by the finance and accounting department people, and they will suggest and they will identify and make them corrected. So that is what is the internal audit. If we have a strong internal audit or effective internal audit, the final audit is very, very easy. And the another one is operational audit. The operational audit is mostly confined to the various operational activities of the business, that is the manufacturing activity. So here we are going to identify the various operational limitations or the deficiencies, if any. Those things are going to be identified through this operational audit. So there are the various ways of conducting the audit. It all depends upon the nature of that particular aspect. And all these things includes in your management, right? Because so with this, I think you are trying to meet your expectations, and you are also make the correction of if there is any deviations are there, and you can also rectify the various attitudinal aspects of the organization. So this is how we are make them more thorough with respect to the policies and procedures and rules and regulations, and finally aiming at to achieve the set objectives for which one should have an effective management audit. The various benefits of the audit, I think we are trying to identify the weaknesses, make them corrected so that we can achieve our managerial goals very easily. So that is how it helps the management in making the things more effective. And we can also help the organization to identify the various weak spots. And with this, you are able to make them corrected and not to be repeated the same thing. That is how you will always try to achieve the things on time correctly. So that is the reason why I think one should have this managerial audit, I mean the management audit. Of course, there are some weakness of this management audit in the loopholes or the shortcomings. One of the shortcomings of this audit is it is more of an expensive system. Management audit is a costly method of auditing. It is not suitable for small firms having limited resources. If it is a large scale organization, okay, wonderful. But if it is a small organization, very difficult to bear that much of the cost of the management audit. And there are no fixed methods or the laid down procedures. So it all depends upon the nature of the activity. So for the moment, you have to develop your own way of how should we audit them, how should we examine the various aspects of these things. Hence, there are no well-defined procedures or the rules in order to conduct the management audit. So it is a unique. So every organization has to design on their own for make this auditing. And it may not be theoretically good sounds, but in practice, I think it may not be as theoretically sound. So in case of the practice, that means it may not be suitable in all the organizations. Then coming to this, what are the various steps to be taken for management audit? So first of all, you must identify the areas where we have to conduct this auditing. Then what are the targeted objectives of the organization? Unless you identify what are the objectives, you cannot compare with what was achieved with that of the objective. If the objectives are impracticable objectives, which you cannot attain, in such a case, the whole management activity is of a futile exercise. The objectives must be well defined and practically achievable. Then only I think you can conduct this management auditing. Unless you plan for the future, you must be in a position to plan for the future so that you can go for making this auditing is a practicable one. And you should have the targets. In order to reach the targets, what is the activity of the organization, how the organization is able to achieve these target things. Then the activity of the organization must be measurable in quantitative terms, so that it is very easy for us to know what is the gap between these two things. If it is not in a position to quantify it, in such a case, it's a quite abstract one. And there are all the various things which we have to take the follow-up for make this management audit more effective in the organization. Then the procedure, what procedure should be followed in order to conduct this auditing is, so first of all, you must conduct a preliminary survey, the various activities and the objectives of those activities, and the structure of the organization of the activity, organization structure, and what are the various responsibilities and what are the various duties, who are the authorized persons in order to attain those things. And you must have the clarity over on these things. Hence, you must study the basic assignment or the character of the responsibility of the activity under audit to ascertain the authorized persons, purposes, and related authorities. Then you must conduct a review. This review pertains to the parts of the management control by studying the policies established and the procedure laid down. And with that, I think you can verify the procedure, what they have laid down, what they have followed. And you can identify if there are any differences between what was laid down and what they have been following. And the whole thing must be given in the name of information through your reporting. So you must have a pakka or effective reporting to give the feelings of or to give the feedback of the organization, so that the management will be in a position to take the corrective actions. And there are certain of the cases where it may not be possible to follow each and everything. There may be some deviations, and those deviations cannot be pointed out, because so as per that particular situation, the people who are involving in that activity may follow a different procedure because of with a positive attitude to attain the objectives. So for that also, I think you have to validate, and you should not give your negative feeling of such a type of the occasions. And you must conduct the review from time to time. Through review also I think the people used to realize why it was like this, why we are not able to follow this laid down procedure, so that it is some sort of a point of the education to the concerned people, why they have followed, why they have not followed. And this may be in the name of submission of the inspection reports. And if necessary, we can also go and inspect the things, the higher people through this physical examination. You must also conduct some sort of a test for the various activities which were conducted in the organization. And you must also conduct or you must also arrange with the officials and the employees regarding the actual activities, what is going on in the name of discussions. The discussions with the officials and employees also helps you to promote the effective way of dealing in the organization. And you must also have very clearly laid down the testing procedures and the practices in the organization, so that you can evaluate their performance very easily, and there will not be any controversy while you are pointing out, if at all, if any deviations from the laid down procedures. And for the conducting of this management audit, I think you should have some techniques, and those techniques are broadly divided into accounting techniques, economic techniques, scientific techniques, statistical techniques, and also personal techniques. These techniques are nothing but the way how you are going to, I think, evaluate the procedure. Say, for example, while you are introducing any new product, that is a decision taken by the management. In order to carry out the activity, first of all, you must decide is that introduction of the new product is a viable one or not. Viability should be evaluated. You must know the evaluation, you must know the viability of that introduction of a new product. So in order to have the viability, you must have a minimum amount of the production. It is not only sufficient, you must also have the minimum amount of the demand. Merely introduction of a product is not the end of your management action, management decision. You must also assess how much is the demand. If you are not having much of the demand, in such a case, it is not going to be an economical one. So for which you have to assess what is the point, what is the level of the sales, what is the level of the sales wherein we can get the no profit, no loss. While you're initiating any activity, at least you must recover what all the money you have spent. That is in the name of an accounting or economic technique, break analysis. Maybe you have already come across in one of the earlier subjects about this break analysis, either maybe in your accounting or in your financial management, you might be come across this break analysis. By analyzing this cost matrix in the name of break analysis, you will be in a position to know how much should be the minimum amount of the production in order to recover what all our expenses. What about that, it is going to be a positive contribution for the profit making. Likewise, you should have the preparation of the various budgets. That is the quantification of the future plan. That is also one of the accounting technique. Through your flexible budgeting system, what should be my minimum level of the production target, wherein how much is the price at which I can sell my product, and what is the cost of production, how much is the margin I had. That margin should be compared with the different alternatives of the production plans, and also how much money I am going to be received. That is the future cash flow. What is the present value of the future cash flow? While you're making investment, you should also assess the feasibility of your investment by way of capital budgeting process. And you should also conduct the cost benefit analysis, and you should also have your activity-based costing in order to test the relevance of the different costs of activities. So there are all the various techniques through which we are trying to evaluate the performance of the different sections of the organization, different managerial aspects of the organization. So for which these techniques helps you in order to evaluate the performance of the management. So likewise, nowadays, so with all the sophisticated techniques like the computer models, the network techniques, mathematical programming, and we are also able to identify what is the feasibility, what is the optimality, and what is the minimum, how do we are able to minimize the cost of manufacturing in order to maximize your profit. So for that, I think you may have the different mathematical techniques, which the scientific techniques, which helps you in order to take several of the management decisions. Say, for example, you may come across the case where make or buy. Is it viable to make the things, or better to go for buying? In some of the cases, buy and supply is more economical rather than manufacturing of the things. Because for manufacturing, we have several establishment expenses, which may be more than the price at which we are able to buy from outside and to supply your customers. Or in some of the cases, instead of expanding the organization, I think better to buy rather than expand the organization. Or what is the optimal mix of different types of the products. And in case of your, I think, cost of transport, you may have different alternatives. Which transport model helps you in order to minimize your transport costs. So these are all the various techniques which helps you in order to evaluate the performance of the management in the name of the management audit. So likewise, you have different techniques like the exponential smoothing, interform comparison, Montauk correlate simulation, activity-based sampling techniques. So there are all the various ways how we are going to evaluate the performance of the management of different sections of the organization. So likewise, you may also have some personal techniques like attitudinal survey, how the employees' attitude and what is their, the angle of thinking on any proposed issue. So likewise, the management and the machine and man relationship in the name of ergonomic relationships, or what type of the training models which helps you in order to improve the performance of the productivity of the employees, the profitability of the organization, the productivity measurement. These are all the various things which should we evaluate in the name of management audit. So these are all some of the quantifiable techniques which helps you in order to evaluate and to judge the performance of the management. Besides that, I think you may also come across the things like brainstorming, transfer pricing, MBO, management by objectives, management by exception. So there are all the various areas where I think we are trying to make use of those things in order to improve the performance of the organization. That is also a part and parcel of the management audit. And finally, the role of the management audit is, it is a confined to the organization in order to evaluate the managers, supervisors, their functions, their duties, and their responsibilities. And we are also trying to evaluate the performance of the equipments or the facilities, and to what extent we are able to utilize those equipment and the facilities, and what sorts of the methods we have been following, what sorts of the systems we have been following, what is the security of the information, how far we are able to use the resource mobilization. So there are all the various aspects which we are going to cover in the name of management audit. Hence, this management audit is a very crucial in our management control system. So in order to control the various activities, first of all, you must evaluate. So for evaluation, I think it all depends upon the nature of the function, nature of the activity, the type of the responsibility. You will have different methods or the techniques which helps you in order to evaluate the performance. Once you evaluate, I think you will be in a position to know where they are and what they have to do. So for which this management audit helps you in order to improve the performance of the organization. And the audit is going to be conducted. It is a continuous audit. There is a schedule of the things which we have to make our audit program. So as per the given schedule, the audit should be conducted, and for which you have to give a plan in the beginning itself. I think your audit program should be given in the name of an audit plan. So accordingly, you have to conduct the auditing activity in the organization. And after conducting the management audit, then you have to submit the report after preparation of your the activities of the auditor. You have to submit in the name of management audit report. Generally, the audit report should contain what is the pertinence of the system. What you must have the comprehensive of the thing, brevity, timeliness, motivating aspects, formatting aspects. These are all the various things which you should keep in mind while you are preparing your report. A good report contains all these things. Okay. A good report should always contain those things. This is what this audit report is. So with this, I am going to stop my discussion, and we will continue in the next session. The last block, that is case studies of this management control system. That is the last unit. We will discuss it tomorrow. And with this, I think the first 4 blocks is completed, and you have already provided the material. So let you go to the material before you come over here to the next session, because the next session is in practice in different types of the nature of the organization, how the management control system has been executing or implementing. So for which you should have the background of the various things which we discussed under these 4 blocks. So with this, I am going to stop my discussion, and we will meet tomorrow. Thank you very much.